How you doing, May? I'm waiting for a couple more people to get here before I get started. But I think I might have, for at least a half an hour, an interesting topic tonight anyway. Well, I'm not doing too bad. Not doing too bad. Surprised I woke up, though. I took a nap, so I only planned on laying down for about half an hour. Woke up about 10 minutes ago. I'm like, ooh, whoopsies. Give us a couple more minutes here. Yeah, for last, I didn't see one last night. I was looking. I didn't see one, so I don't think he did. Well, I know uh, FLP is out running around too, but I'm thinking he's still going to have his chat on Friday. It seems like, especially this week so far, it's just been a slow week for live chats. Hey, Christy, funny seeing you here. Did I just see you a couple minutes ago? Hey, ASAP. Okay, got a couple people here. Should have a couple more here pretty soon. Hey, Purple, how you doing? Hey, JNC, how you doing, guys? I'm doing great. How's Backwoods doing? Kind of missed his chat last night. Well, he didn't have one, but I kind of missed going to it. Yeah, I couldn't remember if he's having one last night or not. Hey, how you doing, Just? I think we're going to get started here. I was reading a magazine article today. Actually, I've had this magazine for a while. I'm surprised I didn't think of this earlier. Oh, there you go. There you go. Hey, Chrissy. It was great seeing you ladies today. Yeah, if you guys don't know, I know Chrissy from outside the chat. I delivered to her. Hey, Tonic. But this is a special edition 2018 survival experts handbook, blah blah blah, from Survivor's Edge. Back it up there. There we go. This has Les Stroud on the cover. But I was reading this. Hey, Kentucky. But was reading this article, and it's called "Check It Twice," and it's "Be Ready for Disaster with Mel Tappan's Survival Checklist." But I'm sitting there reading this, and a lot of these magazines I kind of take with a grain of salt anyway. But I was reading this, and I thought it'd be kind of an interesting topic. That's why I kind of named the chat that SHTF happened yet. So you're kind of heading into disaster. This has like an 8 point, actually about 9 point checklist to it. And I know a lot of you already have been doing a lot of this stuff already, but it still kind of bears going over. So the first part of this checklist is you. Yes, you right there in the chair, looking at me on the other side of the screen. You, yeah, you. But that's the most important thing in any survival SHTF outdoor situation event is you. How are you doing? Hey, Kaylin. Oh, not too bad, Kaylin. How about yourself? But you are the most important thing in any situation. How are you going to handle it? What are you going to do? What do you have to handle it with? Where are you going to handle it at? Hey, 3D, how you doing, hon? But everything. How's your mental health? How's your stress levels? These are all things you have kind of have to keep in mind. As soon as you set foot out your door into the woods or the desert or wherever you may be going, is how are you going to handle that? How are you able to handle that? Hey, Rosanna, kind of like Christy. Did I just see you? I know, I'm just messing with you, but um, are you in good physical shape? Are you in good mental shape? Um, just things you should consider. And before you go out, if you're not happy with something about yourself, like your physical condition, your mental condition, your preparedness, how you doing, Jay? Or something like that. Now is the time to do something about it. Don't wait till you get out there and like, well, wait a sec, I'm not quite ready for this mentally or physically. Now's the time to do something about it. The more you can do now, the more effective you will be later. Basically, is what he's coming down to. And once you can see what your shortcomings are, if you are going to have any shortcut, uh, we're working on it, Tonic. The way I look at it, this is more. I'm not really worried about getting a big number of subs. I do appreciate. Don't get me wrong. I appreciate it. It's just one of those things. Is I just like doing this. To me, as one other person said, we don't really talk to them anymore, but one person said, this is kind of like therapy for me. I can, I won't say get something off my chest, but this is more like, I kind of like the teaching aspect of it. Let's put it that way. Thanks, Jay. Okay, so we established that you are the most important thing when you go out into the woods. Or you go out, it's a survival situation, it's a hiking situation, it's an outdoor situation, it's an SHTF situation. You are the most important thing there. How everything's going to get handled. So we're going to go to this number 2, which is develop the necessary skills. Okay, you made it out into the woods. You're in your outdoor situation, your survival situation, SHTF, what have you. Made it out to the woods. Now what? Do you have the skills to deal with it? How to purify water, how to make a fire, how to make shelter, how to gather food, defend yourself, what have you. Um, as I said, before anything major happens, now is the time, just like I said before, now is the time to start developing those skills, uh, be it what they may. Even if they don't really, even some skills, even if they don't benefit you, if you're going to be in a group, they can benefit somebody else, especially if you get into a group of some sort. Like my thing is I cannot eat shellfish. I cannot eat fish. I'm allergic to them. I don't go anaphylactic. I have severe gastronomic distress from it, but I can't eat it. I mean, if I eat it, anything I've taken in is nullified, basically. But I don't have any problem handling it. So maybe it's a skill that to a lot of people, to me personally, be useless. I can still fish. So if I'm in the group, now I can help. I can still help that group gather nutrients for itself. Maybe I won't be eating them. Like, let's say I set a trap line. Well, I'm waiting for something to hit those traps. I could be down at the creek, the river, the lake, the pond, what have you, tossing a line in, getting fish for everybody else. Or that, I mean, that's something you can think about, especially if you get into a group situation. Hey, Grumpy. Yeah, and just what 3D just said something very good right there. You will never know what your shortcomings are until you can get out there and try to do it. And I give her a lot of credit, a ton of credit, because I'm not picking on you 3D, but when you went down and started living on your homestead, you probably find there's a lot of you had some shortcomings on there that you had to work around and try to work on while you got there. Correct? Exactly. So I mean, I think everybody will be in that somewhere in there. I know I have some shortcomings too, and every time I go into the woods, I try to work on those shortcomings and keep up with the rest of my other skills too. It's just that's the nature of the beast. I mean, that is pretty much that is the nature of what's going on. You are going to have shortcomings. You just have to find a workaround to get around those shortcomings. Um, Another thing, and I am is a good thing to be guilty of because I'm a bookworm. We're going to go into part three is start collecting reference materials. And I'm going to do a video on that sometime in the near future. Probably not this week, but sometime in the near future. Uh, Books, magazine articles, PDFs, websites. I mean, right now, for reference, you and me right now are using probably the best tool in the world for reference until that system goes down. And there's a lot of stuff out there. Some of it good, some of it bad. It's just you have to figure out how to discern it. Maybe if somebody else has been to that site, to tell you, hey, it's a good site, no, or that's a bad site. Um, Magazines, as magazines go, one of my favorite magazines for stuff like this is called The Backwoodsman. And it has all kinds of stuff in there, stuff I haven't even thought of. I'm just like, hey, that's kind of neat. I like that. That is cool. Um, Survivor's Edge, like magazines like Survivor's Edge or Off Grid or um, Disaster Prepper or whatever. I take a lot of those with a grain of salt because there's a lot of articles in there that are good, and there's a lot of other articles that are pretty much buy this stuff here. So it's you kind of have to with a lot of magazines like that, like the more sensationalist magazines. You take it with a grain of salt and you kind of glean what you can off of them and then try to weed out the rest of it. Yeah, see, Jay has another good point, and 3D pretty much just backed him up on it. What Jay said here is Mother Nature is the great equalizer. She plays no favorites, and she doesn't. Either you're ready for it And T Bear with another great one. Mother Nature has a mind of her own. And when it comes to nature, no matter how much you think you're controlling things, nature's in control. Don't fool yourself. Nature is in total control. You're just along for the ride. Yeah, you're not controlling anything. Nature dictates everything that goes on. And along with nature, nature and terrain are probably the two biggest things that you're going to have to deal with once you step out the door. Nature, terrain, and weather. Well, nature comes with the weather, but the terrain and nature are your two biggest factors. Um, Getting back to the reference material, there's a lot of books, and again, some of them you kind of have to take with a grain of salt. See, you do. Christy does the same thing I do. I have I have kind of like my own personal library. You can kind of see it right there, and I got all kinds of stuff on there. Not all of it is prepper or survival related. I mean, I got. Let me see. I have like an automotive section. I actually on in my library, everything is organized the way I want it organized. Like I have all my car and truck stuff, hot rod stuff on the top shelf. Come down the bottom shelf. I have airplanes going in, just trains, stuff like that, and I got a little bit of urban legend stuff up there. Get down to the next shelf. That's like my science shelf of all kinds of different things. The next one is kind of like more sci-fi and just various other things. Then the bottom shelf over there, and then if you go over one other case, like the middle of that case over there, that's all survival and outdoor related. Oh hell yeah, Just Aid. But that's like what Christy just said there. I've been working on organizing my reference books and magazines because when the weather turns cold, I'll be reading inside. I do the same thing, and with I was gonna say, oh yeah, and with that, one thing I have to do. Oh yeah, I just realized what 3D just said. Getting back to the nature thing. She had a tornado come over on Saturday night. I've been there. I've done that. That is never fun. And another way to get information, just for yourself. Jay said, "I wish I had a tape recorder when I was a kid and recorded what my grandparents told me about what it was like when they were kids. They lived through the depression. So did mine." Hey, Brian. And with that being said, that is another good source of information. Your elders, people that are way older than you. I remember a lot of things that my grandparents told me. My grandfather blank lived right next door, and that'd be at work. I was like maybe 8 or 9. Oh heck, even younger now. I was like 5 years old. I used to go off in the woods with him, and I remember him just talking about this and that and the other thing. And the same thing. He passed away when I was like 10 or 11. My grandfather Kronk, on the other hand, he passed away probably about 4 or 5 years ago. But I remember everything he told me as well. I try to remember everything. I won't say I remember everything, but I remember a lot of what he told me. I was in Boy Scouts and he was an old scoutmaster. So I'd be doing something, I kind of mess up, he'd come over, no, try it like this. Try it like this, and then we'd work with each other, then I'd find a way to do it. It won't be exactly what he said, but I find a way to do it and just, oh no, that's fine. He's one of those ones that just you can do it however you want to do it as long as you come up with the right answer. That's what that or the right solution is a better way to put that. As long as you come up with the right solution or the right result, The way you did it is fine. And what another thing Jay's saying, another way you can gather information for yourself, if you have one close to you, is that's why I go to a lot of these tractor shows. Like Portersville is a big one. Not so much tractor club I belong to. We just have some threshing, some baling, and maybe a stationary um, sawmill. But oh, I can imagine it was 3D. I can imagine. Hi, Mickey. That's one of those things. 3D. What I would do, if you can, is try to find them on PDF or find as much as you can on PDF. That way you can store them all on your computer and reference them when you need them. Yeah, that just I the library I have that you see behind me used to be about 2 times that big. I got rid of a lot of stuff. Just a lot of stuff I was sitting there I wasn't doing anything with, so I just got rid of it. I didn't want to, but I'm just like I'm not doing anything with it. And the other thing is doing it wasn't anything outdoor stuff. It was just stupid stuff. Yeah, see, Grumpy Old Man brings up another good point when it comes to reference materials or anything like that. Keep it on a thumb drive and put it in a Mylar bag just in case of an EMP, CME, an event like that. And that should keep it safe. Imagine that. Okay, we're going to go on to number 4. And this is actually something I have to work on myself. I have a few guns, but nothing major. Um, the guns I have, I could use for self defense if I had to, but they're more hunting rifles. Hunting rifles and a shot. I have a hunting rifle and a shotgun. But guns and ammo. And with the guns and ammo, um, I kind of look at it at two different ways. You have defensive, and then you have sporting, or I call it sporting, but it's like you're hunting. But that even with the defensive between the defensive and the hunting part, there's a lot of gray lines in there because the one gun that I have a 2 3/4 inch 12 gauge 3-shot pump, which could be used for both. Another gun that I have that'd be just strictly hunting would be my 270. It's it's a Remington rifle, but it's chambered in 270 Winchester. Or do I have that backwards? Regardless, it's a 270. It's a four shot. It's a 4-shot slide action rifle. Not exactly the best rifle in the world, but it gets the job done. Um, that like I'm going to start stocking back up on some 2 3/4 inch. Um, Another thing when it comes to guns and ammo, just on that, I mean, if you're just looking at the food gathering part of it, you don't necessarily have to have a gun. One of the things I carry in my backpack when I go hiking, and that's also my bug out bag, I add like 2 or 3 items to my hiking pack and it becomes a bug out bag that fast. One thing I take with me, now you're going to laugh at this, is I take a slingshot. People kind of look at me like goofy when I say slingshot. Here's why I take a slingshot with me. With a slingshot, you never run out of ammunition. Never. Mickey, for you, I say um, a good rifle if you're just going out deer hunting for the first time is a sporting version 223, like a bolt action 223. Um, hey Cheryl, uh, with the with the 223 is you can still get the ammo fairly cheap. You're it's more powerful enough to take a deer down. Plus, it's the recoil ain't too bad on them. So I would start at 223, maybe work up from there. If you want to go higher, I would look at like a 270, a 300, or a 308 would also be good rounds. They're good, plentiful rounds. They've been around forever. So just that's that's what I'm thinking anyway. Getting back to my own personal thing, like with the slingshot, I never run out of ammunition. And who said here? Christy Betts said it. David and Goliath. And see, and that's exactly why I never run out of ammunition. I don't have the one you swing around. I have the one you pull back and pop something with. If I ever run out of, I actually buy a bag of $1 marbles for ammunition. If I want to buy ammunition, marbles will work. Marbles will work just dandy. But if I ever run out of those marbles, or I forget to grab some marbles, 30-06 is another good one to start with. But if you're just going out hunting for the very first time and you're looking to buy a rifle, I'd see if you can find 223. Honestly, they're it's a good load. We have a 222 here, which is basically about the same thing, just neck down, just slightly more. We have a 222 20 gauge, and we've dropped deer, turkey. With the 20 gauge, we dropped turkey, we dropped deer with the 222, and it's a good varmint gun on top of that. So I mean that it's an over and under. It's a combination, what they call a combination gun. It's a Savage 24V, and for an over and under, it's a good all around gun. 320 is another one. Um, but getting back to the slingshot, if even if I have ammunition and I run out of ammunition, I just kind of kick the leaves to the side, dig around a little bit. Just about anywhere you go on the earth, you're going to find rocks at that big around. Pick them up off the ground and keep plunking away. That's what I'm looking at is the bang for my buck. The slingshot is something I don't even really have to buy ammunition for because I can find it just about anywhere I go. Another thing, just for the food gathering part of it, it's a good bow. There's nothing. I have I have a bear whitetail too. They call it a cam bow. It's more like a compound bow, and I want to get a survival bow or a survival recurve bow. But still, that that's another thing that can help you out. Air gun or an air rifle is another good way. And see, yeah, Mickey, you said just an M16. That's why I brought up the 223 because with the M16, you already have experience with that 223. So I mean, it's that 223 that you put in that bolt action 223 is the same round you put through that M16. It is the same round. One gun I want to get, and I gave mine up a while ago, but one gun that I want to get again is I want to get a single shot 22. One of the best small game rifles you could ever have. And as for personal armament, I still have to get a pistol too. And I'm thinking I'm eventually going to get a Taurus. I cannot remember the model number of it. I'll probably remember it as soon as this is over. But oh, you're welcome, Mickey. The one thing I'm looking at with a pistol with this Taurus, I've never carried a pistol. I've never had a pistol. So I'm gonna get this. See, I eventually If I like the pistol, I eventually do want to get a model 1911. I love the way 1911s look. I absolutely they look. I've shot them. I like the way they shoot. I just don't have the money for one. And all the 1911s I've shot has been somebody else's, and I'm looking to get one of my own. See if I like to carry. That's why I'm not spending too much. The torch I'm looking at is like $250, and that comes with like the Kydex sheath and everything else. So if I like it, then I could use that for a trade up. And see, and Grumpy Old Man's reading my mind here because as I said, I want a single shot 22. He said I would like to pick up the 22 survival rifle. Fits in the bag real nice. Um, there's the Henry AR-7. There is the Chiappa, and there's another one that people kind of seem to forget about. It's called the Bronco. The Chiappa will actually fold in half, like you said, and you can put it in a bag. And yeah, the Henry survival rifle. That's the AR-7. And they're all good choices. The AR-7, I think, is a multiple shot. I think actually comes with like a 10-shot magazine to it. The Choppa and the Bronco is single shots. But we used to go coon hunting with the Bronco because coon hunting with the Bronco is set up for a 22 long rifle, but we were shooting 22 short rifle out of it, just so we wouldn't make too much noise in the dark when we go coon hunting. But it for a small game up like coon and possum, that's the trick. That little short rifle, pop them, they hit the ground, and away you go. How you doing, Frank? Just some things to think about. Food and water storage, which is number 5. Now, this is kind of dictated by how much room you have, and I've seen all kinds of different solutions. So you should be able to store something, even if it's you're buying. If you go out and you buy like, say, you don't have a lot of room, you just need something to. Oh, I'm doing fine, Frank. Thank you. Night, May. Have a good night, hon. Um, even if for water storage, you're buying like the 24 packs of bottled water. Hey, it still lasts a good while. You buy those, you kind of throw them in the closet. Like my own personal space in this house, because I still live with the folks. My own personal space is this room, but as a family unit, we keep enough food in the house. Hey, Toby, we keep enough food in the house to last 3 months at any one time. So we got like a 3 month supply of food. Um, when it comes to water, we're on city water right now, but we have a well we could pull off of if we had to, and we have 2 springs behind the house. So we have a source of water. A lot of people don't have that. So as I said, even if you go out and you buy bottled water, that's good. That's great. That's great. Or you do rain collection. You have a cistern. Some way to collect and store water is either store water or collect water or do both with. That's great. And same thing with food. I've seen people take like those Pepsi crates and they'll take everything off from underneath their bed and they'll take those little like for like the 6 pack 2 liter bottles and they'll put a meal inside each one of those. And you can get, let me see, I think there's like one, two, three, four, five, six, about 7 of those side by side, too deep underneath the standard bed, not a king size bed, just a regular standard single person bed. So that's 12 times 7. That's that many meals you can stick underneath your bed. Oh, that's never good, Christy. Not good, but probably entertaining. Honestly, I get entertainment from drunk people. That's just me. Oh, you're drunk. Do something funny over there, please. And see, I like what Jay just said there. I would like to have one of those 1,500-gallon plastic cisterns and bury it. Stays at a constant temperature, probably won't freeze. And you are correct. The only thing you have to remember, if you do a cistern before you plumb it into the house, you just have to remember you have to have it higher than the house. I knew a couple people. That's just the way I would do it. That way, you could use a pump if you wanted to use a pump, but if the power goes off for some reason and you can't get, or you lose power to that pump, you could open that pump up and just use gravity to feed it and use the valve. Use gravity to feed it into the house. So like the downstairs, feed it into the house, and that way you don't have to rely on electricity or anything. It's just a gravity system at that point. Jay, that sounds like something I'd do. I don't blame you, Christy. I don't blame you. Oh, there you go, 3D. See, that's another good thing. If you have a well, that's one thing to keep in mind. I know a lot of people that have a well that they have an electric pump on, but as a backup, they actually ran kind of by found a way to get past the pump. Well, the pump kind of our pump kind of sat off the wellhead, but down to the top of the wellhead, they put a hand pump on it as well. So they got two ways to get water out of their well. So redundancy is a good thing, especially when it comes to food, and especially water. Redundancy is a great thing. Um, Another thing with food is for food storage. You hunters, you get yourself a deer, a bear, even a turkey. I know in PA you can get an elk. There's a really good supply of meat right there. If you have a way to keep it from spoiling, you're going to keep yourself fed for a good. I'm not saying indefinitely, but you're going to keep yourself fed for a decent amount of time anyway. Um, we're going to go to number 6 here, which is retreats, and what that is someplace for you to go, or if you're going to meet a group at off site of where you're living at. Some people may prefer to bug in. Some people may prefer to bug out. Some people, it's each situation is going to be different, whether they're going to bug in or bug out. So that having options for a retreat is not a bad thing. As again, it's one of those redundancy things. And that's not a bad idea, Kaylin. That's a good idea. I mean, if it comes right down to it, use what you have on hand. I know somebody around here that when they buy milk in a 1 gallon jug. One of the plastic 1 gallon jugs. When they're done with it, they wash it out. They kind of throw some bleach in, just make sure they get all the milk stuff out, rinse it out real good, and then instead of they'll go down to one of the springs, fill up that water bottle at the spring, cap it off. After you cap it off, they'll take a little bit of duct tape and just kind of try to seal the cap. And they probably have about 100 gallons like that now from the spring, or they'll sometimes get it during the wintertime. He'll get it from his own well, just store water. And then with that 100 gallons, he still rotates. He writes the date on it and everything. So like if he fills up like 2 bottles, the the oldest bottle, he'll pull the oldest bottle and drink off the oldest bottle, and just keep that going. Yeah, and you're right, Kentucky. It does work better. Electrical tape does work better for that. It's just what he has on hand, and it seems to be working for him right now. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Exactly, 3D. And that's another thing. Everything I'm talking about here, before you even get to your bug out location, your retreat, or whatever, you have to remember you have to stock that up as well. If you have like a bug out location, you have to have that stocked up and ready to go as well. And that's not going to happen overnight. That's something you have to do over time before SHTF actually happens. I mean, and I know there's a one or two people in 3D's one. I think Purple Tea Bear may be another one that have a retreat, and they know what it's like to get everything set up beforehand. That is the whole idea of a retreat or a bug out location, is have it set up ready to go. So when you get there, just just start rolling from there. And along with the bug out location or your retreat or your gathering point or whatever you may call it, the other thing you need is the tools, and not just like what's in your bug out bag. You're going to need tools to make sure your retreat runs well. I mean, we're talking plumbing, electrical, handyman tools, because their stuff is going to need fixed. Nails are going to need to be driven. Screws are going to need to be tightened or taken out and then replaced again. Um, Pipes are going to need fixed. You're not just the tools for survival itself, but the tools to keep everything running. So that's another good thing to have on hand at your bug out location, is a good tool set, along with, yeah, carpenter's hand tools, even hand drills. Like that's one reason why I started collecting antique tools. I don't have to depend on electricity. I could take these things wherever. I don't have to depend on electricity. Hand drills, um, uh, bracing bits. I have a bracing bit that's set up to use augers. Froze, axes, hammers, pipe wrenches. A good tool set there is key, along with what you carry in your bug out bag: a good knife, a good axe, um, containers, ways to cook, what have you in your bug out bag as well. All this is going to come together in the end and help you survive or cope with what's going on. That's another good one. Fly swatter. If all, I like Jay's logic here. So that's what the ball and peen hammer's for. Jay, you sound like me. When all else fails, get a bigger hammer, right? Okay, and here's another thing to think about is alternative energy sources, which also goes with your retreat, your bug out location. Uh, Solar power. Hy- if you have a creek run by, you can set up hydropower, um, a little windmill for air power, and that's just the power that. You also have your alternative power sources for cooking. There ain't nothing wrong with cooking over an open fire. Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with that with wood heat and stuff either. 3D Tripper just said something else there, and I kind of glossed over that or glossed over. Well, I didn't even gloss over it; it's completely skipped it. A chainsaw with gas and oil is a great idea. Even though with me, I hate two cycle. I absolutely despise two cycle gas. That's why the one that I'm get the chainsaw that I'm getting, I found a 2.5 horse electric chainsaw made by Still, and it's actually fairly. When I get it, I'll do a review of it. I mean, this thing, I think it has an 18-inch bore on. It's about 2.5 horsepower. I think it'll hold a charge for about 30 hours. Not, I know it's not the best thing to have, but as I said, me and two cycle do not get along. Um, Juby's talking about what was going on here. Oh, prayers for you, Brian. Hope you get your dog, man. I know what that's like. That's never fun. My dog right now is right there, sleeping. Right, Bub Bub? He's kind of looking at me like, why'd you wake me up for? No, see, I have a couple, two, three different buck saws, folding saws, buck saws, um, and then like regular hand saws and all that other happy stuff. Night, Brian. And just like Kalen just said there, if you can do it, solar is probably your best bet. Wind turbine probably your next best bet. Um, you can do hydroelectric. It takes a little bit to set it up, but you can do hydroelectric if you have flowing water close to you. That's not beyond the realm of possibilities. It's more difficult, yes, but it's not beyond the realm of possibilities. And see, that's one thing I'm going to look into, Tubi, is if I get this chainsaw, I'm going to look into a solar powered option to keep it powered up. But this is all with your alternate energy sources, especially like as I said, there's nothing wrong with having a bug out location that is heated by wood. Nothing wrong with that. That means, especially if you heat it by wood, if even if you have electricity, if you heat it by wood, that's more energy that you're conserving to do something else important. Summertime's a different thing. Depending on where you're at, I know here in Pennsylvania, when the heat starts, there is no getting around it, and that's solar. If you could have at least even the little window AC unit, and only have it run part of the day, with at least enough to take the edge off the heat, that's better than having your bug out location cook like a convection oven. I've been there, done that. That's never fun. I'm like, I'm going outside. Why are you going outside? It's cooler out there. And number 9, trade goods. Okay, so you got all your stuff. You got your retreat. You got your retreat running good. Got your energy all set up. It's after SHTF. Sooner or later, people are going to need stuff. And let's say, um, for lack of a better term, you're in a better area. There's no looting going on, but you kind of find out who's in your area. People are going to need stuff. They may need stuff that you have, but you may need stuff that they have. So this is where trade goods comes in handy. Ammunition, any ammunition that you pick up along the way that you're not using, like a caliber that, let's say you have a 12 gauge and a 22, but for some reason or another you come across a bunch of 9mm. Okay, you don't have a 9mm. You either Get a 9 millimeter, or you can use that 9 millimeter ammunition now as a trade good, because the person down the street, let's say that they have, oh, you need some needles. I wouldn't say needles. I need something a little more expensive needles. Let's say they have like a couple, two, three extra hand drills. You need a way to make holes instead of using your pocket knife to go like this and hope you get it right. They have a hand drill and a full set of drills. Okay, they have this extra hand drill laying around that they're not using. You have this 9 millimeter ammunition that you're not using. They may have a 9 millimeter that they need ammo for. You trade stuff off, you barter stuff. That's another thing that's probably going to happen after SHTF. People are going to barter services as well. Um, so somebody down the road may have a problem with their plumbing, and you're a good plumber, but you're having problems with your electricity, and they're a good electrician. You can barter services back and forth. That's especially if there's some kind of financial collapse. That's how businesses. I'm not saying business, but that's how things are going to get done. Okay, if you can do this for me, I can do this for you, and back and forth. Um, after collapse, people may go to. I actually don't see it happening. Go to using silver and gold again. I can see. I won't say I can't see it happening, but when you're out in the middle of the woods, silver and gold are only going to be good for so much, and it's not going to be much because it's unless you have some place to spend it, it's not going to be good anywhere else. If you start trading back and forth amongst yourselves, the only people are going to be using is you and a couple, two, three other people. That's what I'm saying. Trade goods are a good idea. Another thing is with trade, when you get into trade like that, if there's like two or three groups around you, you got your group, this group over here, and let's say off around your bug out location, you can grab resources from around your bug out location and stockpile them, and each one grabs like a different type of resource. That's another thing that you can trade. Um, let's say that around your bug out location, and this is not impossible to find because I found it before. You find like an old apple orchard, and not crab apple trees, regular apple trees. An apple tree with some creative pruning, you can actually get an apple tree that hasn't really been that productive for a while because it's been just let go to start being productive again. So let's say you can start making apples. Um, person, another group on out, they're coming up fat wood and natural grains, and they have a way to mold those grains into flour. Okay, so okay, we've got two different food sources here now, and this person over here, it's not really a food source, but they have a way to make dimensional lumber. So with the dimensional lumber, now you can start making things. Let's say you need a couple things outside your retreat. You want to make like a little shed or whatever to keep something in, and they make dimensional lumber. Now you can start trading. It may take a while, but you can trade off back and forth for that dimensional lumber. So I mean, all kinds of things going on here, all kinds of stuff. Um, another thing, if you come across them, um, trade guns. Yeah, I said trade guns. And I was like, well, why would you get rid of the gun? What I see a lot of people doing is they're getting more of the defensive stuff that isn't exactly the greatest for hunting, and vice versa. See a lot of people having the hunting stuff and not really that like me. I don't have any defensive. I have something I could use back and forth maybe with that 12 gauge pump, but I don't really have anything defensive. I just have more food gathering, more hunting oriented stuff as opposed to tactical. Okay, Kaylin. So let's say you have more hunting guns than you really need. You can have trade weapons, and like let's say a single shot 12 and a 22. I think those would probably be your two biggest trade guns running around because 12 gauge ammunition and 22 ammunition you can find just about anywhere. You can get just about anywhere. So it's that those are two guns that are probably the most useful. Oh, those lambs here leaves. They work better in a bandage anyway. How you doing, Ox? Oh, we're gonna be here for a little bit, Ox. So, but thanks for coming, buddy. But I hope these suggestions help. And when it comes to this stuff here, other than your physical and mental ability and your mental and physical shape, everything else is just loosely based. It's loosely based, and that's the whole thing. Is your area is going to dictate what you need, um, and the order that you're going to need them in. That's another thing I found. I've been looking at is somebody in the desert is going to have way different needs than somebody like where I'm at, which is in the temperate deciduous forest up here in Pennsylvania, and that's going to be different than somebody in northern Canada, close to the Arctic Circle, which is mostly conifer up there, which is going to be different from somebody down in Florida who lives around the swamp. Every area is going to have a different set of circumstances and needs that go with it. Um, the basic needs are the same, but the order that they come in is going to be a little bit different. Like let's say a survival situation. If I was in a survival situation in the desert, the first thing I won't say desert. Let's say just down south, and it's the summertime. The first thing that I would look at. Let me stop right there. 3D Tripper just said something that completely went over my head when I was going over stuff. She brought up a very good point. Seeds and how to get the seeds from the plants. The reason why this is a good point, especially if you have heirloom seeds, when you plant an heirloom, especially if you're a good gardener, that's like one skill I really need to work on because I was born with a brown thumb. Me and my mother are about the same. My dad, on the other hand, he could take anything and make it grow. But what she's saying about the seeds, once you plant something, well, whether it's heirloom seed or a GMO seed or what have you, once you plant something, it comes up from that plant. The seeds that you glean from a plant that you planted is every time you do that, the next batch of seeds is going to be more in tune to the ground that you have. And this may sound funny. This is like genetic modification on a natural level because every batch of seeds is going to be more adapted for the area that you are in. Every time you come around to getting seeds from those plants, they're going to be more they're going to be adapted for your area. Not saying you can't use them someplace else because they'll readapt to someplace else as well. But every batch of seeds that you get off your plants is going to be more adapted than the last set was. Exactly, 3D. More bug resisting, better able to use nutrients in the soil, more resistant to anything at any other natural disease for that plant that is in that soil. I mean, it's a self perpetuating deal. Um, Now, one thing you may want to keep in mind though is if you don't want all your seeds in one bed. Let's put it that way. If you have two or three gardens in your bug out location, what you do is once you kind of start, you get three gardens going. Every year, either rotate what you plant or use two to three gardens, let one garden stand for a year. When you let that garden stand like that for a year and you rotate which garden stands for a year, you're replacing the nutrients in that soil. And that Dewey said something else there, worm farming. That's a good skill because especially in your if you worm farm in your compost pile, that's going to keep those worms going to help turn that compost pile as well as you turning it. I mean, they're going to keep things kind of jumbled up and keep things going for you. That's actually a good idea, Jake. Except everybody quit doing that up here. But I have a couple things going on here. I'm actually going to, as of when spring breaks next year, I'm going to start. I'm going to probably start sending wacky tobacco there to the. Hey, Kanzi. But I'm going to start playing around with gardening, vegetables, and everything. I have a couple places actually in the woods behind the house I could try this at. I just have to figure out how to keep the deer out of it. Actually, it's not that hard to do, Ox. I have a couple places back in the woods that were used for other things. Um, Nothing like that, but they were used for other things. So I got some good soil back there I can start playing with. Actually, that's something I may try. I may try over the winter here with herbs. Are you talking about taking like a 2 liter bottle and putting a 2 liter and like make it almost like a little miniature um, greenhouse? No stills, 3D. No stills. It's just they had a different use, a legal use, but a different use. Yeah. See, I was thinking about trying out with some herbs. Actually, here's a little tip for you. Me being the Oreo and cookie fiend that I am when I drive, you ever see those little plastic cups that the cookies come in? About your big? Probably about that big around. I have a bunch of them, and I was going to wash them out real good, and I was going to use those to try growing herbs in. Just something to try. I figure if I try it on a small scale. If it works, I'll go big. Actually, after SHTF, after SHTF, Jay, actually, it still would be a good thing because alcohol has a lot of medicinal uses as well. See, my grandmother used to do the same thing. See, talking about that, I think. Welcome to this SHTF saloon. And the funny thing is, I can see that happening. But talking about alcohol, one thing I'm thinking about trying, and I'm going to be getting some unpasteurized cider. I'm just not sure what amount I should get. I'm going to try making hard cider. You see, I'm Kansas. That's actually where I'm going to start at. I'm going to try growing the small stuff first, and then go from there. Exactly, Jay. Okay, I'm going to switch subjects here. Um, for Friday night's chat, I don't know if I'm going to be there or not. That's still kind of up in the air. And the reason is Saturday. I am doing. I'm a photographer as well, and I'm going to be doing a big barrel race down at Nagley, Ohio. It's called a Bucking Nightmare. And this barrel race, what they do with this barrel race is they raise funds to give a child with either terminal illness or is very ill with like leukemia, cancer, or what have you. Is they take this kid, they'll pick a kid, and they'll take that kid and send them to rodeo, and the rodeo is kind of, I would say build around the kid, but the kid is king of the rodeo, king or king or queen of the rodeo for a day. And the rodeo is about them. And it's a points rodeo too. It's a points rodeo in Ohio. The one that I did is in Ohio, but it is an awesome organization to work for. This is my fourth year doing it, and I am very honored. I feel very honored to be in that position, especially after what happened this year. Earlier this year, see, I always did the fundraiser, did photography for the fundraiser. This year, I got to watch it go full circle. I met the rodeo kid this year, and I took pictures of him at the rodeo. And I will, huh? That's weird. Okay, who can see me? Who can't see me? Huh? Okay, cool. Hey, Jim, you snuck in on me. How you doing, buddy? Okay, but getting back to what I was saying is, I met Jaden this year at the rodeo. Now, this kid, it was 10 years old, and this kid has been through hell and back more than once already at the age of 10. He's beat two different forms of leukemia. Yeah, one form of leukemia was got cured of that, then went right into another form of leukemia about a year later. This is before he was 10 years old. And he went through all the chemo and everything for that. On top of all of that, he's had blood transfusions. He's had literally 45 different Huh. I'll keep talking for the ones that can see me anyway. He's had 45 different operations. He's lost his right arm. And I'll tell you what, really? But I'll tell you what, for somebody at that age has been through that much, I've never met somebody that was more full of life. I'm sort of thinking that I'm going to see a kid, even though he's cancer free, that it's going to seem like he's on his last legs. Nah. For somebody who's been through that much, I was actually telling him down because I couldn't keep up with him, which is awesome. Absolutely awesome. But this kid was so full of life and so happy just to be here and be at the rodeo that that it was like following like a regular 10-year-old kid around, just full of energy. But it's awesome to see everything go full circle and see what you're working for come to fruition. But with that, because it says Skynet is going absolutely nuts. Skynet's coming after me now. YouTube censoring me. Um, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to call it the night here. And don't forget, tomorrow night at 7 o'clock Central Louisiana time or 8 o'clock Eastern is Nina's chat on her channel. And then at 9:30 Eastern or 8:30 Central Louisiana time is going to be the ladies' night at Prepper X. Thursday night at 6 o'clock Central Louisiana time or 7 o'clock Eastern is going to be spicy. And then I do believe FLP will be back. So I don't know if I'm going to be there or not, but 8 o'clock Eastern time, Prepper X is going to have probably their panel discussion. And with that, I'll see y'all later. You guys been awesome. I love y'all. Have a great night, and I will see you guys soon.